Um, I think because there's a third player too, Tanner Miller came over. All three of those guys played for us, and all three of them had options. Once they're in the portal and they were exploring, they had a lot of options in a lot of different schools. So then you're turning into recruiting mode, right? And you're talking about how they could develop, and because I think they experienced it with us. That recruiting message was impactful. On the point of what they can do, I do think all three of them we feel like can play, but also the type of guys you want in your locker room, especially when you're starting your home.
In what ways, what are those conversations, how long did it take before you were able to re-recruit them and come with you? Because it's a long journey to go and do for that.
Yeah. So what's the question?
What was the discussions like with them, and how long before you felt like
Right. Oh, okay. So yeah, as you recruit them, they've been exposed to how we're approaching things and what we want to do with their talent, those kind of things. They speak to the conference and want a different place to showcase their talent, type thing. And ultimately, they make a choice.
The last 8 months or so, I mean, you were the recruiting trail, you did spring, practice, you had summer workouts and stuff. How does it feel to kind of be on the doorstep of fall camp and finally getting to set this thing in motion after months of waiting on the nation?
Yeah, it feels good to get close to getting started. A lot of work, and it's recruiting, but your own roster, staff alignment. Once you finalize stuff, the alignment and the approach, we're always learning that way. So all of that's been going on. Put a lot of thought into these practices coming in August, and it's going to be a competitive August. I'll say it this way: like in spring, we're implementing new schemes. Right, this is the first time offense, defense, special. And so those guys are learning that now that they've got some background with it. Finalizing competition and a lot of spots come on.
I think you did filling those spots last post-spring formal losses because of your some of the others. You did replacing those spots.
Yeah, we replaced. And every program's the same. You're doing some replacing. We did that. We feel good about where we landed. At multiple positions, line of scrimmage, back end. And so we're headed toward what we feel like we've got a roster that has some depth at multiple positions, and now we've got to get them playing at a high level.
Since you arrived at MSU, have you been selling to recruits what you've accomplished at OSU, a vision for MSU, or a combination of both?
Well, yeah, you're selling both. One, they're always looking into your background and your approach, and not just myself, the staff and what they've been able to develop as individuals, as players, developing and going into playing at the highest level in the National Football League. From a program side, the approach and the day-to-day development on and off the field is what we deeply believe in, and how we're going to do it at Michigan State. Speak deeply into Michigan State's tradition, passionate fan base, the resources, the location, the conference. There's a lot to sell at Michigan State.
When you look at the losses that they had last year, I mean, obviously it was close loss against Iowa and athletics, and would have qualified for a bowl and one of those games. Do you think it's realistic for you guys to make a bowl this year? And I mean, just given what the team did last year versus what you have this year?
Yeah, we're definitely trying to win, and we're trying to win more than we lose. And you mentioned last year, obviously wasn't involved, but I did it with all the, I say it this way, the distraction that was going on, the competitive character of a lot of those guys on the roster played that competitively and really had a chance to be going to a bowl game last year.
What does success look like for year one at Michigan State?
Yeah, like getting that winning more than we lose, playing our best football at the end of the year. We want to be in a constant state of improvement. And so the approach, our process, if that is right, we will be playing our best football at the end of the year. Week one, you want to improve in week two, right? A lot of things to clean up. Well, you keep that process going, get to game 12, and you're hoping to be playing in meaningful games in November, playing your best football.
What are your impressions of Joe Rossi so far, and how did his hiring come about?
Yeah, really been impressed. Didn't know Joe really at all. Had a couple of mutual friends. Did a lot of conversations with people that I knew had worked with him, and so then got together, made sure we were aligned on kind of how we were going to want to approach the program, develop, recruit, a lot of things like that. And he's been awesome. You can tell his experience, organization. He's got a clear vision for what he wants it to look like, and I do think evaluating the talent and what we have on the roster, making sure we're putting them in the best positions possible. He's always thinking about that on the day-to-day. I think he's done great in regards to organizing the defensive staff, because he hasn't worked with all those guys. A couple of them, came over with me, and so and he's been open to. There's some big-time coaches on that side of the ball. Their contributions to the scheme, so far so good.
Coach, when you surround yourself with familiarity between players and coaches, how do you kind of tell your returners to Michigan State's program? Even though I may be bringing these values over from my previous program, I'm here for Spartan football, and this is what.
So I put a lot of thought into it. It's a good question, because the approach when really one of the first team meetings I had with the team, I kind of spoke to it, right? This is December, right, where there's players that were going to be transferring, coming, because there have already been so many players that have been in the portal. So there's going to be new players and a different head coach. There's new players on Michigan State's roster who had a different head coaches who recruited them. So it wasn't going to be a room of like, oh, you got Smitty guys, and you got previous guys. We're all Spartans here. We sort of spoke to it, talked about equal opportunity, wanted to do it together. And these messages, not just words, we had to live this out. And that's been our approach to the 8 months being here.
When do you guys open camp, Jonathan?
Well, Tuesday.
This next week, and then players report the day before.
Yep.
Jonathan, you've been in Michigan now for coming up on a year at the end of this year. How have you sort of felt the Michigan State rivalry? It's been very, very intense to spilling over in recent years, as we've all seen. How have you sort of felt that rivalry? Do you think with you and obviously Michigan having a new coach, this could be a chance to kind of reset things to still being intense and not being spilling over?
Yeah, it's going to be passionate and those things. I enjoy being in an in-state rivalry. My whole coaching career, where there was an in-state rivalry that took place, and I think that's a beautiful thing about college football, of the traditions that then go with that. And so you look, we're always every game means something, but that game will be.
That's on somebody. You were spending a little bit of time with Sherlock.
Yep.
Did you know him before?
No, that was really I guess at the Big Ten meetings I bumped into him. But that was for sure.
How's your relationship grown since then, or what have you?
We don't have a lot of communication. It's fine. I mean, but I pay him respect for what he was contributing to the last few years like this.
Jonathan, in 8 months you've been in Michigan State, talking to people, what have you learned about what this is like for you?
It just continues means a lot. It's a state divided, even families divided, which is common in other rivalries. And again, I go back to I think it's a great thing for college football.
You got together with Jack Dan players who came with you and coaching staff. Did you guys get a chance to just have a moment to yourselves and talk about these things? Or since you got there, what kind of things did you talk about? Common observations?
I know the guys mentioned the food. They like the food around town. Pick up a few of the players. That comes up. Guys in the locker room, football meaning a lot to them, and the way they practice and go about it. A bunch of good dudes. It's not like we sat there day in and day out talking about this, but those food players are good dudes.
Jonathan, I'm wondering, different era, of course, but year one at Oregon State versus year one here. Do you see any similarities to what you had to do, to what you want to do here, and any differences that really stand out?
Anytime it's year one, there's going to be some similarities. I think you're always building, whether you're in year one or year 9, that approach of always want to be this constant improvement, building something. There's some similarities there. I think differences. Well, the first time year one at Oregon State, I was the first time head coach. I hadn't worked with a lot of the guys on staff type thing. Now I've been a head coach for 6 years, going on year 7. Hopefully learned a bunch, and we've got a lot of shared experience with staff that came over.
Would you say it's easier or more challenging in this era with all the things, or maybe just different? I guess I'll just square that.
Tough to know. There's challenges, but challenges comes across like that's a bad thing. I'm kind of excited about a new challenge and doing some hard work. But I don't know what years, because of the landscape, dramatically changes.
Since you've been here,
Yeah, I think the first time you're drinking out of a fire hose in so many different ways. I think I'm less reactive, maybe going in year 7 than year 1 for shortcomings or if something doesn't go exactly right. That's why you want to be learning all the time. So I'd say it that way, less reactive.
How are you building relationships with Midwest coaches?
Trying to get out in schools as much as possible, trying to invite them to campus, watch us practice or talk some ball, those kind of things. Did some camps in the state when, there's such limitations on the head coach getting out, but our staff has made an emphasis in getting in a lot of Midwest high schools.
Since you've been here, what area of the roster do you feel like you've improved in that most through the acquisition?
Right. Not knowing deeply, it wasn't here last year on improved and whatnot. I know we feel good. We've got some players at inside linebacker and some depth arena that guys can play that position. Obviously the entire quarterback room flipped. I'm optimistic even on the offensive line. These guys working and there's some talent there. I'm optimistic that we can do some stuff.
It seemed like you guys made a lot of changes in the secondary. Can you talk about the thought process there and why you went so aggressively there?
Well, that secondary in this day and age in football, a lot of times we're playing 5 DBs at a time on the field, and so you need to fill the room with numbers and create some competition in that aspect. And so we want to have a good amount of DBs.
Watching film, see what guys have done in the spring. Like, how do you feel about the depth at receiver, and what do you think of second base this year?
I think there's some guys in the room that are good players. Like, I look at Montori Foster and watching the spring that he had and learning the scheme and being able to play multiple positions. Nick Marsh, I know he's young, but he's got some real talent to him. And so I'm confident that we can have an effective passing game with the complements of receiver, the tight end, the quarterback, the back out of the backfield.
Nick Marsh and Aiden Charles had like a youth camp, I think it was earlier this month together, and it seems like they're kind of building friendship off the court. How do you think that relationship off the field might result into chemistry on the field?
Yeah, I think it helps, not just quarterback to receiver, but definitely chemistry off the field. I think it helps. That's why I go back to it. I think the locker room in general, these guys enjoy getting around outside the building together and having some camaraderie, and so that connection is important stuff. They're not going to be best friends with 118 guys, but a connection with multiple position groups is important.
I know you don't want to put expectations on a freshman coming in, but Nick Marsh is always able to do that spring game. Just what do you think is his potential?
Over the long run, he can play this game at a high level. He's got talent. He's got work ethic. Again, going back to football means a lot to him. He likes spending the extra time, getting extra work in. I thought he did a good job of learning the scheme for being more or less a high school senior. And that would be the next step for him in the month of August to continue to tighten up a lot of his game.
A lot of focus obviously has been on Aiden. What do you like about Tommy?
Touchdown Tommy. This guy had a big time spring. I mean, he made some impressive plays. Not just all about like throwing the ball, but like composure in the pocket, understanding the scheme, very limited mistakes. He did a really nice job.
The big statement
he actually came by the hotel. Yeah, he came by the hotel. It was the first or second night, and we just chatted in the lobby. It wasn't just me; it was a few other coaches.
What was sort of your first impression?
He was impressive, well spoken. Spoke about school, kind of his life background, what means to be a Spartan. Was really impressive.
I know practice is just right around the corner, but does this team have an identity yet? And if not, what do you want that identity to be?
Yeah, I think we're working on the identity. We're going to go through this practice and play a couple of games. We want to establish both, a physicality on both sides. And again, I want to be a team that plays together, that finishes. We want to be known by that.
Given the turbulence that happened last year, how much did you get the sense when you walked in the locker room that the players were kind of thirsty for maybe somebody who would not only lay the foundation, but really going to shortcut it and try to do it in a methodical way?
Yeah, I felt the response for a lot of the guys if they were looking for a fresh start, kind of a different direction. They were receptive. Again, I think as time goes on, the opportunity and our approach and the consistency of it, those that'll that'll be here for the long haul will improve, develop.
Jonathan, what traits do you see in Nate that make him appealing for you in your offense, and can he be a guy that you guys kind of lean on while everything gets figured out in this first year?
Yeah, you want to have some diversity in the way you get guys the ball out of the backfield, and so yeah, his scheme of knowing the run game, and I do think he's got some vision, instinct, he's got patience. It's not about all the time to run as fast as you can. You got to set up some blocks, can catch the ball out of the backfield, understands the concept because we're asking him to pass protect some, and he's been on that as well.
Dylan Tatum, another guy you brought, he's played all over. Does he have a home now, or is it still
I think versatility.
Experimenting?
Yeah, I think he can play nickel. He can play some safety. Obviously, he's played some corner, physical, can run. We like that flexibility back there because he's pretty talented to move around. I think he's been really well spoken since I've been here, representing the different spots in the community for Michigan State football. So I'm really proud to bring him.
Some players that are on the roster that we've not seen yet. Some transfers. And K-Ron Adams, taking a good chance at running back.
Running back.
From UMass.
Yep.
You looked at him on film before he transferred. What do you like about him? And have you been around him this summer?
Yeah, we liked his physicality, his production he's already had. I think there's a nice change up, maybe a little bit different than Nate's skill set, and so having some difference there in the backfield maturity, but wanted to have an opportunity for a year to play the biggest and the best, and he's been working since he's got here. I know he's excited about that.
Looked like Dallas added 18 pounds this spring. I mean, that's partially because of obviously some of the portal losses with Barnum, Barrow, and just maybe having to play maybe more shots and stuff.
Yeah, guys are going to gain some weight in the off season, stronger, right? Good weight and conditioning. A little bit more to create some flexibility for him inside and out.
Yeah, but you obviously recruited against Oregon the last several years in a very different context. What has it been like since you've joined MSU and since they've officially been joining the league, and what that's looked like in that perspective and from your perspective, what's been into their arm and
Oh, right. It's the day and age where guys are going to have opportunities to really twice a year get recruited, and there's a talented player that in his best interest he felt like it was to go to another place. He did. Yeah, they do a good job. Give them some credit. They do a good job.
What do you want to see the series, the Civil War? What do you hope match like? What do you hope to see now that it's a series?
Yeah, I think they should continue to play that, not just in football and in all sports.
Jonathan, with helmet communications becoming a thing, a lot of coaches have talked about how they're still going to be signaling in terms of you're running no huddle, you're still got to get signals to the receivers. Does this, Ryan Day kind of hinted at it yesterday, does this make huddling an advantage almost if teams are willing to, you can kind of hide personnel, you can...
We've huddled the last couple of years because we did feel like it was an advantage. Not just the communication, but you're just showing your formation later. So we're excited about the communication helmet to helmet. And it's not just about getting that exact play in, but a quick nugget of information, a reminder. I think it's good.
What do you think that would change, having the technology even on the sideline with like the iPads and stuff just being able to...
Yeah, that'll change it. I've yet to experience it in the game, but there's got to be a lot of, I'm imagining, information that you can gain of being able to replay it and review it, and then one side of the ball's on the field, the other one can be recouping it. Hopefully, it leads to less mistakes and better football.
We talked about building the need to mature and be more of a leader. How have you seen that growth through spring and through the summer with workouts and all that stuff?
I do think he's a uniter. I met with every player after spring ball, in the month of May. And one of the questions on there talk about leaders on the team, and I was impressed with one, how many guys got listed as leaders, a bunch, have influence, and Aiden Smith showed up quite a bit for being new and on the younger side.
And now we're going to continue obviously with developmental program. How hard is it to be a developmental program in the age of the NIL transfer portal era where you might spend time developing this player and then once he pops, you get a bunch of
that can be tough. I'm confident though if you give us some time, that the more time we get, the more they're going to want to stay with us. And so just looking forward to being in the next multiple years of developing, and I think you're developing at every spot. We're not unique to that because you want to be improving from your freshman year to sophomore, even leading into your last year as the fifth year student.
You know what you'll do is
And it's going to move down to 105 and probably do scholarship. How do you, what's your initial thoughts of 105?
Yeah,
And how do you manage that number and just going forward and revenue sharing and what that's all about?
Yeah, you know, since it sounds that it's going to be this 105 number, haven't put a ton of thought on it now at 105. I am under opportunities more and more, especially just on a personal side as I walk on myself. And so I still hope there's a place for walk-ons.
Have you thought about captains, Jonathan? Just how to handle that? Will they be player
We'll
pick? Will
vote
it
on
be
that.
game day?
Yep.
And when would you do that?
Probably back half of fall camp we'll vote on that, and then depending on how that kind of plays out, that'll be some of the numbers what we've done in the past.
As you're taking over your program with just the 3 games last year, and you came into a similar situation at Oregon State, and talk about the similarities and differences between your first year going into Oregon State versus this year at East Lansing.
Yeah, there's some similarities, I guess, you know, coaching transition mid-season with that, and then, you know, but again, I go back, this is a new season, and however the previous season went, really good or really not well, this is going to be a new season, new direction that we're focused on moving forward, and that's a similar message from both places.
For Aiden Childs, the experience he got last year at Oregon State, how helpful is that going into his first 4 years of study?
Yeah, it's helpful. You know, experience. You can't recreate game experience, and so he got some, and that'll be helpful. And now it's in the same scheme. We're hoping it really helps.
What do you think is the biggest step in his development that you want to see going into this year?
Some of the experience, more playing a true game in and out of the series, right? Play series and then get back out there, adjustments. I just want to make sure that he's having fun playing the game. I think he's at his best when he's having some fun and enjoying the game of football.
But also being like a young quarterback, obviously mistakes are going to happen. So how do you not let those mistakes like fester into like hurting his confidence and continue to let have that next play?
Yep, you know, next play, the idea of responding. Again, this goes from not just the quarterback position, all of us, positions, coaches, we'll be able to respond, understand it's not going to be perfect. You know, having a failure recovery system. So when you have a setback, you're ready to respond.
Do you think of any examples where he's like shown that ability to respond in adversity?
No, I think he's had bounce back from a couple, because again, last year he really played one series game, and obviously from game to game. His first time he went in Pac-12 game against Utah, it didn't go great. And the next week he bounced right back. And
Or safety bounce back, or
you know, I don't know about in particular that example. We definitely talked during fall camp last year. He was having a couple struggles, and you know, we reset, let's say, a conversation or two, and started playing a lot better.
Coach, I know it's something you can't necessarily dwell on, but initially, when you have that big wave of guys leaving right after spring camp, is that a little deflating when you're new to this program and you feel like, oh, what went wrong?
You know, in ways deflating maybe, but ultimately in this day and age, in a year one, it wasn't shocking. And again, you want to be around guys that want to be here. And then some of those guys did want to have search for a different opportunity, and got to respect for that. And in this day and age, you can add to your roster as well.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, it's kind of tough for me being experienced only about 8 months here. I will say those 4 coming in, they get some real tradition over there. They've had some big time players, big time teams, coaches. They're just like all 18. There's not going to be an easy week in this league, and those 4 teams are not going to be an easy week.
Earlier this week,
Existing Big Ten schools know about.
Yeah, because I played a little bit more on those sides. I think they usually really talented, and those guys play hard. They're well coached.
You're talking about players. You lost a couple of players.
Yeah, Easton and Keeley. Yeah, those guys love football. They're good dudes to be around. Easton's distinct instincts, can tackle Achille, sideline to sideline. Really smart player, can react and recognize quickly what's going on. And they're great teammates. I mean, special teams, want to be in the locker room. Awesome guys.
Earlier this week, Jonathan, an unofficial media poll came out. Michigan State was 16th. I'm wondering if you saw that, what your reaction was, how you feel that's being received.
Never really put a ton of weight into these preseasons, really, even when I was playing, just because a lot of that, it's based off, previous seasons. It all comes down to what it looks like in the play.
That trip to Eugene on Friday night, personally, it's going to be a lot. What do you hope on the team winning and being successful now? I mean, for that trip for you, for the family to come back, what do you want? You're going to walk away feeling okay, having gone back to the state. The last game the coach there was there. You'll wake up Saturday on that after the plane ride home feeling what on a human level? I don't care about the football coach.
Yeah, honestly, I don't agree with you. It's about the game. It's about Michigan State, and not about me. And so that's how I hope I feel in that game takes place. It'll be an awesome atmosphere. And it was about the game, and it was a really well played game.
Jonathan, you talked about Achille and Houston and SC and DJ's at MSU, and Damien's elsewhere in Michigan State. Is it weird still, or that team carried a lot last year? There was a lot going on around it. It was a very tight group. Yep. Is it weird to now see that team kind of scattered?
Yeah, definitely weird, without question. Just even those names you mentioned, I think it's Sione Hands, Silas Bolden, and great dudes, and we shared special times. Those guys did. They were carrying a lot. There was a lot going on for that season, and they represented Oregon State really well.
What stood out to you the most recruiting the state of Michigan?
The most recruiting the state. Been impressed with the high school coaches. The scheme, how much they give to the game, how develop their programs they run. I've been impressed with that. I think there's good talent in the league, not the league, the state. That stands out.
You mentioned going to be one of the best tight ends in the country. What makes you say that?
Well, his production. He's been productive and doing some things in the pass game, and he's smart. So you can move him around in multiple positions, areas of the field. But he's got great hands and can make some real big plays in the pass game.
How much does that also relate to scheme that you guys employ? I mean, how much it does?
We do like to get tight ends on the field and do it, and he's definitely we feel like a guy that can move in a couple different tight end spots. We're going to split it out at receivers some. He's got some real versatility.
Would you consider him a 3-down guy, or is that something he's working toward? The guy that you can keep on the field is Chad. Could you keep him on the field all 3 downs? Yeah, is that what he's working towards?
Yes, without question, and really 4 downs.
We saw some guys like Brennan Perishek playing the hopper. You guys that were recovered from injuries. Just wondering what your team is like going into that.
Yep, Perishek's been going. We feel pretty good on where that's at. The most up to date on actually tomorrow we have a staff meeting to tighten all that up, but on pace as of now, really for everybody.
Coach, from the outside, what do you know about Penn State's whiteout tradition, or what would it mean to you to be able to coach in that one?
Oh, the whiteout church! I've heard about it. Yeah, we're looking forward to doing that in the next few years. We skip them this year, but that again, this league experience, kind of the stadium's tradition, the pageantry of Big Ten football. I'm looking forward to it.
A couple of guys that were hurt early last fall, on the roster today, still didn't see the three. Baxter, defensive tackle, and Oregon safety. Are they still in the picture?
Yep, both of them on target to be able to participate in August, and we're looking forward to having both those guys. Yeah.
You talked about consistency being a big kind of part of your program, and kind of maybe a secret ingredient. I mean, do you think that's tied to the systems that you guys run, especially the offensive system, based on the fact that it's particularly balanced, and so you don't have that ambiguity. Maybe one week to the next, with the passing game is going to be functional, and running game.
Yeah, you want to be able to function and do it both, run it and throw it at a high level, and then complement the two of them so that. But your run game, formations, actions in the backfield, you got play action to base off of that. Brian Lingering, that offensive staff, I think that's one of the better things they do.
I'd say, Jonathan, with Jordan Turner coming from Wisconsin, just how has he worked into the program, and what are you seeing from him heading into preseason camp?
Been awesome having him. We had a mutual connection with Paul Christ. Both of us coached by him, and so we kind of connected on that early on. Football means a lot to him. He's been really one of our standouts in the spring. That's why I go back to that position. Cal, Jordan, Wayne. We've got some depth and some talent inside linebacker.
And then also with just, I know you can't talk about 2025 verbal commits right now, but I know that you've recruited the state of Wisconsin. Just what's unique about recruiting within that state of Wisconsin and just the players that are within it?
Yep. I think it's maybe not unique to Wisconsin. We want to build the roster from inside out and start within the state, builds into a driving distance, and Wisconsin's right up that alley. Football players there. I think there's some good coaching going on over there. We had a couple of visitors from Wisconsin, high school coaches. That stands out.
Brian mentioned in the spring that he watches the 49ers, but he also mentioned he watches the Lions. How much have you studied the Lions offense what Ben Johnson does?
Yeah, those guys, Brian way more than I, but he does, and they had a great year. It was fun to kind of experience the back end of it, getting over here to Detroit and all of that. And so we want to be that on the cutting edge and what's taking place at a high level other places. We want to be studying and learning.
We got time for one more guy. Yeah, get over the 10 minutes.
Say it again.
How important was that month of June for you?
Oh yeah, it was huge. Yeah, we had a bunch of visitors going to camps, had our own camps to evaluate and look at some things. I thought we got a lot done in the month of June.
Jonathan, looking from the top down, what made Michigan State the right fit for you culturally?
Oh, the town, blue collar mentality, the work ethic, doing it together, all of those things was really appealing to me.
And are there things you're going to be looking to see improvement on in the tape towards the end of the season?
Yeah, we want to be playing our best football at the end, and each position group, each player, each side of the ball, team, from week 1 to week 12, we're guaranteed. We want to be improving and getting better.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.